In this lecture, let's actually fix the alignment issue which we have up over here inside this table. So the reason why we have this alignment issue is because if you actually take a look at the code here, you'll be able to see that for this particular rows which we have up over here, that is this rows, here we actually have set the padding X and padding Y, and we have not done the same thing with this div up over here. So we need to simply do that over here as well, and it's going to align it properly. So padding X is 20 and padding Y is 5. If I do that, hit refresh, now as you can see, these things are aligned properly right next to each other. Now there's one more issue in the buttons which we have up over here, which are the image buttons. So let's fix the alignment issues with those particular buttons as well. So for all the spans which we have here, that is this span which is going to be for the image and this span as well, we have actually set the fonts to bold, but as they no longer have fonts, we would simply remove them. And instead we want to add some padding from the left so that these things are actually aligned at the center. So let's say padding on the left is 24. Let's do the same thing with this as well. PL is 24. Once we do that, hit refresh. As you can see now, these are aligned properly as well. You could even reduce the padding on the delete one, and now as you can see, it's actually aligned properly. So that thing is fixed. Now let's also go ahead and style up this particular expenses as well in a better way. So let's make this font a little bit bolder, and let's also align it right next to this table right here. So in order to do that, I would go right where we have typed in expenses, which is here. Let's give it a class and let's add margin 10 from all the sides. Let's say the font is going to be bold, and we should be good to go. So if I go back here, as you can see now, it's aligned properly. Now there's one more thing missing, and that's actually a navigation bar. So we simply have something which says that this is the index page. Now instead of that, let's add a navigation bar. And whenever we have to add a navigation bar, we always do that in the base template which we have. So let's go inside the base.html and let's see the kind of code we have in there. So right now we are simply having the body here and we are not having anything else. So let's add a nav here. And this nav is going to, let's say, have shadow. So I would say nav class is shadow LG, which means a larger shadow. We won't set any background color for this one. Let's keep it white. Now let's create a container which is actually going to hold the items inside this particular nav. So I'll assign it a class as container. I will make it flex and make it flex wrap to span the entire width. And I would also add a property which is justify between, and then items center, and margin on the x-axis I would set it to auto. So once we have this div, now let's actually create a logo, and this logo needs to be wrapped up inside an ahref tag so that that website logo is clickable. So I would type in ahref. Let's set the href to hash for now. I will also make this thing flex as well, and then I'll add an image here, and this image is going to be the icon of our website. And after the icon, I would add the name of our website in a span tag. So let's say we call our website or app as expense tracker. I would add that. Now let's add some image in here. And in order to add the image, as we are an expense tracker website, I would go back to icon finder. I would search for expense, or let's search for wallet because that also signifies an expense. So let's click on free. Okay, we have already selected that. Let's choose this icon right here. Download this one. Open up VS Code real quick. Take that particular icon, put it up over here. Let's rename this thing to something like wallet. Let's go back to base.html, and in here I want to say that the image source is going to be static my app /images /wallet.png. And as soon as I add that, I also need to ensure that I have load static. So we already have load static tag in here, which means we are good to go. So if I go back here, hit refresh, that logo is added. We need to reduce the size of that thing. So let's set a class and make the height of this thing to 10. Now, as you can see, we have the logo and the nav bar. The only thing is we are having some alignment issues. So let's fix that. let's add some margin on the right hand side for the image. So here I would say for the image, I want the margin right to be, let's say 3. I could go back, hit refresh. Now it has some margin here. And for the nav itself, the entire nav bar is kind of stuck here. So let's add some padding as well. So let's say padding of 5 from all the sides. So this should be P-5. Go back here, hit refresh. As you can see, now we have some padding as well from all the sides. Now this text is not aligned to the center. So for this span here, I would add a class and say I want to self-center this one. Self-center the span. I want the text to be extra large and I want the font to be, let's say, semi-bold for the site name. So once this thing is done, I could go back, hit refresh, and here we have it. Our nav bar is ready. So let's get rid of this index page here. Instead, let's say add an expense. So in order to add that, I will again go back to our index.html, take this expenses from here, replace this h1 tag with this one, and I would say add expense. Let's add an emoji here to keep things simple. So I would use this add image here. And let's use one more thing over here as well. So in here, let's use currency. Use a currency like that. Okay, if I go back, hit refresh. Now as you can see, the layout of our site looks much better. So the layout is ready, everything is ready. We also are able to perform the basic CRUD operations like adding an expense, editing an expense, deleting an expense as well, and reading the expenses as well. Now in the next lecture, let's actually go ahead and derive some statistics out of the expenses which we have. So for example, let's say we want to display the total amount which is spent, total amount of sum spent across categories, so on and so forth. So let's learn how to do that in the next lecture.